Good evening and welcome back. This is the first meeting in June that we're having and the first one in person that we've had for a few months now. Let's go right into it. Oh, no minutes. They're not ready. Okay. No public hearings. So we'll start right off with you, Peter. You're first up.
Hi. I'm Peter Hoffman. I'm chair of the Louisiana Gateway Committee. And I'm here to request your authorization to apply to the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection for a grant. It's not a big grant, but every dollar helps. It's $750. We've gotten it before. 2 years ago, the grant went to help pay for the first water bottle filling station.
Yep.
This next grant will go, we hope, for the third water bottle filling station, which we hope will be on the corner of Main Street and Frank Consolati Way Drive. I wanted to give thanks, since I'm here, to the Department of Public Works, Highways and Water for a phenomenal job they did, not only on the first one, but on the second station. They did a super job, and it was, I think, a lot easier than Zippy was concerned about initially. So we are hopeful that the third one will go in. I know there's a lot of work going on Main Street, so we may have to wait till after that's done, but we hope that these water bottle stations, and there's also a drinking fountain, will serve visitors in the town alike, and we hope that people will use refillable bottles and not just buy single-use bottles.
Is the one at the library operative now?
Yeah.
Is it for the season?
They all are.
Okay. I had a question on this too when I saw that. You know those butt cans you got that year? Remember the butt cans?
Right.
Got any of those left?
No, but we have in our budget to buy one or two more. Where would you like to see one?
What are these?
To put cigarettes out.
Oh, okay.
We've got 7 butt collectors downtown, and we've already recycled well over 1,000 butts. There's a company that actually takes cigarette butts and recycles the material.
Recyclable, wow. Okay. Well, I'm just putting this out there because, you know the little park next to Joe's Diner? Yes. That, in memory, you do, okay. I was up there the other day because I had breakfast with a friend of mine at Joe's Diner, and I said, oh, let's go over and sit in the little park. And I noticed it needed some work, so I talked to Zippy, and he was going to talk to Sammy Sorrentino, which I think he did. But as I was there looking at it, I thought, geez, I wonder if that might be a place to put one.
We have one on the side, near the sidewalk outside Joe's Diner. And
Oh, you do?
There is one there.
Never mind then.
One of the problems that we have is that the Tri-Town Health Department does not like to have a cigarette butt collector within 10 feet of a bench.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we could take a look at that and see
Next
if
time
there's-
you're up there, just glance at it.
Okay.
If you're looking at Joe's, it's right to your right, and it has a little fountain, which isn't working yet, but I understand they're working on it.
Okay, great.
I just thought of it, and I thought I'd ask you.
Okay.
And,
Wonderful.
so I'd look for a motion, unless somebody has an objection, to allow Peter to apply for the DEP grant.
I'll make a motion to authorize Peter to apply for a DP grant.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You're good to go.
Just one more comment since I'm here. A few weeks ago, unfortunately, we had to call 911 for a medical issue, and I just want to say that the representatives from the police department and the ambulance service that came, we are very lucky in this town to have such competent, dedicated volunteers and employees who help us.
Well, thank you.
It's just-
Certainly
Good to
are.
hear.
If I can say that Peter sent a very gracious message to the chiefs on that, and it was very much appreciated, Peter. Thank you.
Well, we appreciated the service, and they don't get thanked enough, I don't think. And
Right.
just as a first-hand experience, we're very lucky. Thank you.
Good to know. All right. So Shay New has applied to the ABCC to change their DDA application, and we have the paperwork that we have to AdCon here, which will go to the state.
Right, I have the signature page.
I have no reason why they're doing this or anything, but it doesn't matter. They're changing their name, so therefore they have to reapply for their liquor license.
Is this something that the chair signs? Or we all sign?
three have
All
to
three.
sign.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right here. So, does anybody have any questions about it, or? I believe it's the same people
It is.
involved.
Yeah, yep.
Or have any,
It's not even
Thoughts
a
about
change of manager of record.
No.
No,
Yeah,
everything.
everything.
Corporate
It's simply
Yeah.
the name.
entities, everything's the same.
no? No
No
objection?
objection.
Motion?
I'll make a motion to
Sign.
authorize the
Yeah.
signing of the license for authority certification. Is that,
Yeah, that's fine. In the name of, let's see, it's going to
is
be,
it gonna be in the name of Cafe Triskelli?
yes. I had it once, I don't know why I do it again. Second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Kathy, just put your hand up if you want to say something about it then. Okay. Now we have an appointment to the BRTA board
I can take that.
for the town of Lee designee to the advisory board. Chris?
So every year, the Berkshire Regional Transit Authority sends out a form to all of its member communities seeking appointments. So these are annual appointments. Ms. Wadsworth has served, I believe this would be her third term. She has indicated that she would be favorable to serving another year on that board. So
Okay.
we brought her name before you for a reappointment.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Move to appoint Andrea Wadsworth to the BRTA Board Town of Lee
Second.
designee to the advisory board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You're up.
Good evening, I'm Kathy Hall, I'm the chairperson of the Lee Youth Commission, and I'm here to give an update. First of all, a big thank you goes to Corey Heath, a carpentry teacher at Lee Middle and High School, and his carpentry students. With monies that were appropriated from the town, the Lee Youth Commission purchased a shed for the tennis courts at the Lee athletic field because the other shed was ready to fall apart. So we needed somebody to assemble it, and the students did that for us, and they did a great job. So big thank you to them.
Okay.
I'm in the process, well, the Lee Youth Commission's in the process of ordering mulch for the athletic field. And we will, once that's ordered, we will be seeking volunteers to help us with that task. And I think the last time we ordered it was like 9 yards. Does that sound right? Because it was a lot of mulch.
I'd love
But
to
it-
volunteer to help you move some mulch, Kathy. It's kind of up my alley, so.
Okay, good, thank you. And then our biggest project is the community center, the potential community center. So in discussing that and just discussing a budget and what we would ask the town for at the town meeting, we went through several meetings, and we certainly met with Chris, and we also met with the finance committee. And in our talking, they would prefer, we were looking for, okay, you ready? We were looking for $1.5 million to start some architectural work. At this point, the finance committee didn't feel comfortable with that, although they want the community center. No ifs and ands or buts about that. But they were asking for us to find out if we could do a marketing analysis and a financial feasibility study along with a traffic study. So we've been doing research. Chris found that the traffic study could be between $15,000 or $20,000. I checked on the following, and I gave everybody a paper that has highlighted different companies that I had to go through. I found information that Bunny Leahy had given us. She's on our Lee Youth Commission. She had the documentation of when the town was looking for a golf course. And a company had done a marketing study for that. And that study at that time, 2004, was $12,000. So I put it in my head, well, okay, that's a lot of years ago. Maybe it's going to be $24,000. So I said, I think that'll be okay. But I kept searching, and you can see from this long list, not everybody is in the business of doing a marketing analysis and a financial feasibility study. The people I did find was Barbara Heller from Barry Dunn, who gave us an estimated quote, a minimum of $20,000 to do a study. And if, that's voted on, then she will do a proposal. We also talked to Paul Marshall at Hill Engineering, and he said our project was way out of their scope, but they could produce a construction cost estimate for $5,500, produced an annual budget for maintenance of the building for about $1,800. And again, just to backtrack, the footprint, or I don't know if you call it a footprint, the first floor, there's only one floor anyway, the first floor is 61,000 square feet. Just to let you know how big the building, just to remind you of what that is. Then we talked to Bill Macy, and I forgot Doug's last name, but Sasaki does similar work, but they felt that they couldn't do something this scope. So they referred us to an Andrew Lebeer from Brailsford and DeLavy or something like that. So he had sent me some things a while back and said that you are now in position of trying to answer a few key questions to build consensus and advance into implementation. Is the program market responsive? What are the revenues and expenses associated with an optimal program? What is reasonable project budget? How do we secure financing? So he's looking at what we're looking at. How do we answer these questions? And then he said, okay, we'll talk later. Well, I happened to talk to him this afternoon at 4:30. So these are my real quick notes, but he will be more than happy to send something that's more understandable, I guess, or more solid. So I talked to him today. He was talking about the implementation of a survey, which would include public engagement, which then I said, well, what do you mean by public engagement? He said, well, you could have a big meeting of people. And I said, well, when we did the open space and recreation plan, I said, yeah, we had to have a public meeting. And I said, maybe 25 people showed up. I said, so, we did better with the survey of almost 300 people answering that than having 25 people. And then he said, well, you could have focus groups. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, you could have groups that are nonprofits and user groups, to divvy it up and have different meetings, virtual or in person. Talked about efficiencies, and they use something, a campus labs, that does the analysis for these things. He said they would do a sample size representation of town demographic, and you do have a copy of our town demographic. Talking about program verification, so he has the conceptual, I'm I'm trying to think of the right word, conceptual rendering of our building. And, looking at it with his group, they would look at program verification. Are these things that are really doable, that type of thing? Trying to avoid duplication of effort, doing statistical validity. What do we want as an outcome? And he's saying that implementation plan brings you farther than feasibility. So if you do feasibility study, it just says, yeah, you have people that will go there, or yeah, you have some money. If you do an implementation plan, they look at it, what is the right building for the town? So even though we have a conceptual rendering, there might be something that they look at in terms of talking with the focus groups or whatever they do, and then say, you're better off to do this, or here's where you would save money, or this might be a little too pricey, that type of thing. And really focusing on what's the exact use that we want for this building, and what would the financial impact be on that? Who would you have to hire? How much would it cost for that? And the key difference is with the implementation plan, you're ready to move forward with an architect and owner project manager. The downside of this wonderful conversation was that it would cost $120,000. In my personal estimation, listening, and we had a half an hour conversation, it just seemed that this investment would be really beneficial because it would bring us where we have to go. The others were still, what's the little animal that goes around, a gerbil or hamster or something that keeps spinning its wheels or whatever. But that's a personal opinion. I also am dealing with a Judy Johnson, and why didn't I write down her company? Well, anyways,
Is she with RKG Associates? Is that?
I don't know, I don't have it.
I think that it says
I put
RKG Associates, Eric.
Yes, right, that was Eric, but they couldn't do it. He suggested this Judy Johnson. So she's from a different company, but
Harriman?
maybe not.
I don't know.
I don't know, I'm sorry, but maybe it's the same, I don't know.
It says
Right? Yes,
Harriman
RKG.
NH. I'm not sure what NH means, and then Judy Johnson.
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire?
Yeah. Yeah, well, at any rate, I do have a Zoom meeting with her this Thursday at 2:30 to see what she has to offer us.
And Kathy, has your committee actually voted on the end result at this time so that you have a clear idea of what you want? Was that the latest
Right.
thing you gave us?
Conceptually, this is what we'd like.
And was that a vote by the committee?
Yes, okay. However, it doesn't mean, that was
Yeah, I
with the
understand.
stipulation that we had to go a step further and really see what will work for the town.
Okay.
And work for the people, because there were still questions.
Right.
Because it was just conceptual. I guess the next step is a schematic rendering, and I don't know anything
Well,
about that.
yeah, I
You're
think-
lucky I know as much
They all
as I
cost
do.
money, that's all.
Yes.
They all cost money.
But if it's something that we really want, and we know that over 38 years, any surveys in this town that had to do with the question about a community center, that was either first or second on the list. And the most recent one, well, two, the open space and rec plan, it was, again, up on the top. It was like the second, okay? And then the most recent, the survey that was done with Berkshire Regional Planning Commission, that was number one. That was the top. And then our basketball courts, but we're not calling it basketball courts anymore. It's a sports center, because we don't want people to think that you can only use it for basketball. there's gonna be 2 courts, but one is a multi-use court when it's out of basketball season. Actually, both of them can be multi-use when it isn't basketball season.
Okay.
So, the big thing is, where do we go? Because we can't go too far without money. We know we need some money to pursue. I don't want to see us, bite my tongue, waste money. And I think using the smaller amount of 20,000, I think there's still going to be stuff that we have to find beyond that.
I think the question you need to ask is, do those other, what's the next step? How far do those other get you? Where does it take you? I mean, you have this abstract, this conceptual model of what we all kind of want to happen up there, but you really need to hone in on a scope and say, like, this is what, this is what we need to do, or what's.
Yeah. And what my plan was, because I just had this information this afternoon at 4:30, I was going to email Barbara and ask her what is it that their company's going to give us? Will they have an implementation plan?
Right.
That type of thing. And then Thursday, when I talked to Judy Johnson, again, ask that same type of question, so that we know, what is it that you're going to get for this money? And Barbara had already said a minimum of $20,000. So I don't know, what that means, type of thing. I just would like to, I have to say personally, because I haven't even talked to they don't know my 4:30 conversation today.
And we just got this ourselves, too. So.
Pardon?
We just got this ourselves,
Right,
right?
yes, absolutely. But my hope is that if we really want this, and it seems that we really do, then we have to know that it's going to cost money. And, we need to find out where that money is. And some of the money, really probably the biggest portion, has to come from the town. And then you could do your grant writing and fundraisers and things like that to maintain your building, type of thing. So I don't know, but that's part of this implementation plan that, why can't I even think of his name? Andrew, what Andrew was talking about. How do you implement it? How do you help the municipality to do a project of this size? And they are also doing a project in New Haven, Connecticut, that seems to be similar to ours. It's like 62,000 square feet, and we're talking 61,000 square feet.
So we're sort of on a holding pattern again.
Yeah, and I really don't want, I want to move forward if we can move forward, because to hold off for another year, then you're actually holding off 2 years, because then they got to do the study.
Right.
Type of thing. So, it's tough. It's a tough decision of, what do we get for our money? And if there's some way to say, not to exceed, that we might need this, but not to exceed the 120,000, if that's a possibility, then if you can do something for the 20,000, you do 20,000, and the town just transfers that other 100,000 to whatever the need is in the town.
Still have to go to town meeting.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But town meeting's right around the corner.
Yes, I know.
So I mean, I don't know how it could be phrased or whatever, so that we're not in a holding pattern for another town meeting or having a call.
Just a question, is your goal to create some sort of conceptualized drawing or rendering of the center to get us to the next level so that people will understand specifically what
we already
we're
have?
about?
Yeah, we already have that, and I'm willing, next meeting, if you'll let me, I don't know if you're getting sick of my face, but anyways, to just review everything, because I have the big posters, and then people can see it again, so that will show the conceptual rendering inside and outside. I also have the big poster that shows all the possible land owned by the town of Lee and why we chose 300 Stockbridge Road. And I also have the newest poster, and Chris, I think I only gave you the little, because there's a big poster, and that's of the, SK Design did it for us, of the infrastructure. Is that the right word, infrastructure? Because there's no water or sewer on that property, but where we would get it and that kind of stuff. So I have all those big posters.
Do we have those?
You have, I think you have everything except the SK Design, but I'm not sure if I sent it.
Which is really nothing more than a
Which is what?
Which is really nothing more than a cross-country connection to existing. I mean, that's the easiest kind to do, quite
Okay.
frankly. It's, you're not digging into any existing infrastructure or.
Okay. So I guess we'll have to go over the Finance Committee recommendations, right? And go on from there. And the next time you'll have more information.
Right,
So you
yes,
can talk about-
yes, yeah.
Okay,
Because I'll have spoken to these people again,
okay.
and, you know, we just keep on trucking it. Everybody was wonderful. Every person I spoke to was fantastic, and they really felt badly that they couldn't help us, but it was beyond their scope, and they weren't gonna promise something that they couldn't deliver. So it was an education. This whole project is an education for me. But anyways, but it's a joy. You know that I love this town and I love its people, so I'm willing to go forward. And I just wish that I had millions of dollars, because I would donate it to the town. But unfortunately, I don't. I can give you a couple of hundred, but, oh well, we do what we can do, right? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so before we move on to the town administrator, planning board notice came in very late and couldn't be put on the agenda, so I just wanted to read it because it'll take place before our next meeting. Let's see, Lee Planning Board will hear a petition for a special permit on Monday, June 14th at 6 p.m. in accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 199-4.2 of the Lee zoning bylaw for property located at 645 Pleasant Street, owned by Ronald J. Halpin, in care of Alice W. Halpin, in the I Industrial Zoning District. The special permit is to allow for renovations to office building converting into one residential apartment. The meeting will be held in the Lee Town Hall courtroom, right here. I said it's at 6 o'clock, right? It'll be in person, not on Zoom. Comments may be submitted to the planning board via bethmead@town.lee.ma.us. Copies of the petition and other materials are available for review in the office of the town clerk, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4, and on the town website, which is town.lee.ma.us. Right? I just want to make sure we've got that so people know. So now we're up to town administrator.
So very scant updating on the warrant, insofar as it hasn't changed substantially since the last time the board reviewed it.
Okay.
However, I am happy to report that the Finance Committee has met, and to my pleasant surprise, was inclined to go through all of the financial articles and approve all of them with one modification that Mrs. Hall is aware of, which is they are willing to endorse a $20,000 appropriation towards the community center study, as opposed to the 40 that was previously requested. So, but operating budget, all other capital items, debt authorization, as well as non-departmental budgets have been unanimously approved by the Finance Committee at their meeting late last week. So that's a positive development and independent confirmation of the fiscal direction of the town, which I think is encouraging. The Capital Outlay Committee will meet tomorrow to review those articles that are capital only.
So do we have to wait for that
Yes.
before the, okay.
Yeah, well,
It'll be all right.
before you sign the warrant
Okay.
that hopefully says approved by the Capital Outlay Committee.
Okay.
We want to get the approval of the Capital Outlay Committee.
So just, let's say the best case scenario happens, capital outlay approves everything just like it is. That's the last thing we have to do. We come in and sign it whenever we can. How long will it take to get out on the website?
We can do that presumably Friday afternoon or Monday at the latest. I was going to propose a board meeting briefly on Friday for the sole purpose of approving and then signing the warrant. Worst case scenario, we could push that to Monday, I suppose. But I think I've solicited times, and there's a little bit of variation in folks' schedule. I have a conflict late afternoon at 4, and I know some of you are available all day, some of you are available at different times. So if there was a time to get together and discuss any changes that might occur within the next 3 days, or the capital outlays recommendations, that would be.
I guess, I'm more flexible than you guys, so.
I will make any time Friday work.
I can do any time Friday morning up till noon.
Okay.
Friday morning's good for me too, but I don't know how it
Yes,
is.
Friday morning. You want to say
Do we want to shoot for, was 10 o'clock too late in the morning, or?
10 o'clock is fine.
So
that's good.
Cindy, can we post a meeting? It would have to be before 9:30. Before 9:30 tomorrow morning for a Friday, because because staff are gonna be in attendance elsewhere
Right.
tomorrow morning. So we'll have to post with the town clerk prior to 10 a.m.
We're all gonna be at the funeral tomorrow morning, so I'm trying to figure out how.
But not until 9:30.
Okay,
Yeah.
so before 9:30.
Before 9:30, we'll post a agenda, and it's really a single agenda item.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
discussion of the contents and approval of the annual town meeting warrant. Be the only item on that agenda.
So is it 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Oh yeah, Friday.
Friday, right. But Cindy and I will have to ensure that gets posted before 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Could probably write it tonight.
Yeah, write it tonight, right.
Okay, so do we have any more questions for Chris about the warrant? And we're doing mostly off financial articles, right, Chris? There weren't any-
Substantially financial,
And then the
yes.
citizens
Yeah,
petition.
we, by law, have to take up the
Right.
citizens petitions that met the filing deadline. I'm trying to recall, at the moment, there's nothing further of substance. I can think of one potential addition, but it's not public in nature. But if that were to change, I'd say so on Friday.
Okay.
Other than that, no, I mean, it is a substantially financially oriented warrant.
And then we are still looking at not October,
Yeah.
sometime over the summer of having a special, either late summer,
I think-
special to do all those planning board articles that we put off.
I think there are a number of non-financial
Yeah.
articles that I think warrant substantial discussion that the format of this town meeting doesn't lend itself
Right.
well to, I think, if it's fair for me to say that. So.
Yeah, because doesn't the charter committee have
Yeah.
some,
Yeah.
charter review committee have
And the
some
board,
recommendations?
and the board hasn't made
Right, we
hasn't
haven't
put its
discussed.
stamp on that as well.
Right.
So that there'll be items to consider there. There's planning board items to consider. There may be interests in property that require consideration, and those all deserve greater discussion than I think.
Lights just all went out.
The financial. I think the football field is fine for a financial discussion.
Let's just hope for a nice day.
But maybe not so much for some of these other items.
Okay, we're all set on that?
Yeah.
Next one's to you, Chris.
Yeah. So I'm just going to save the selectmen's meeting for Friday in my calendar, and then move on to 2 appointments. So I have for the board, via Chief Brown and Assistant CAO Broom, 2 appointments. One to the, Caitlin Santos, to the position of firefighter EMT. So Caitlin has expressed an interest in working in a part-time, as-needed capacity, which, from an operational perspective, to have a core that the chief can rely on to fill shifts is very operationally advantageous for him, and to have qualified applicants in this environment is a positive development. So I'd recommend her appointment.
I'd make a motion to appoint Ms. Caitlin Santos to the position of firefighter EMT.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. The second appointment is Jamie Kiefner to the position of firefighter paramedic. I had an opportunity to interview Ms. Kiefner prior to recommending her for appointment, and I found her to be extraordinarily competent. She has, through her experience at County Ambulance, has substantial interaction already with our staff. So she's well known in a working capacity with some of the folks that are already in operations at our department. Outstanding experience. I think we're very fortunate to add her to the full-time corps. So I'm appointing her subject to your ratification.
So she's looking for full-time.
Yeah.
And the
Yes.
other one is
As
looking
a
for part-time.
paramedic, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is a paramedic, not EMT.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd make a motion to appoint Ms. Jamie Kiefner to the position of firefighter paramedic.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Welcome
you.
aboard to our 2 new firefighters, EMTs, and firefighter paramedic.
Thank you very much.
We're down to public comments.
Wait,
Um,
you forgot about the
Do you
expense
have
reports.
something?
Expense reports.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the reports.
That's all right. Well, it's July 1st, and we've already got the
That's June 1st.
Slow down,
wishful
Chris.
thinking. Yeah. Thank you. So whereas it is June 1st, the revenue expense reports are available in the Selectman's office for your review and for public inspection.
That it?
That's it.
Okay, then I have a couple of things. to bring
Absolutely.
up. I'm just throwing this out there. I'm fine coming back to town hall and being back in person, but I've had a couple of people tell me that they really liked the Zoom, and they felt that more people participated, whether they spoke or not, but they participated. So I'm just throwing it out there. I was thinking maybe we should ask people to call the office and let us know what they'd rather do. Or maybe a hybrid, no, not a hybrid, maybe a 1 meeting in person a month, 1 meeting Zoom. I'm just,
It's an interesting-
I don't know how you
yeah.
feel about that.
So, staff have not had success with a hybrid option. However,
Yeah.
there are other towns that have, and quite frankly, if we wanted to put our effort behind that, we can figure out how to make that work effectively. The other option, as you just mentioned, is to
Like maybe our
switch off.
first one of each month could be in person and the second one could be by Zoom.
No,
I don't know.
I know that people, and it was clear, people participated more, they were at the meetings, you know. As much as we enjoy Kathy, there's
Yeah,
no one else out there with you, so. But on the Zoom, and I'm sure there's people watching at home, but on the Zoom calls, it's quite obvious how many people are there, so.
right.
So-
What's your feeling, Chris? on it?
So I think staff will pursue whatever option the board may want. But I think at the core of your query is understanding what the public would like to see. So I
Right.
think that's a fair place to start.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to get the word, oh, maybe we could put it on the website.
And
A question.
email us and,
Yeah.
we can do that.
What do you think?
Well, I don't know how practical the hybrid meetings are. I mean, that's what I find most attractive, but if they are really hard to implement,
I've heard they are.
then that doesn't make sense. Obviously, the Zoom meetings are the easiest for people.
Because the only thing about the hybrid is if it doesn't work well, people get more upset that they can't
That's true,
participate
too. That's true,
than
too.
not.
How
but-
many people can we get at a Zoom meeting?
If to the extent, I forget what the cap is on our current account, but frankly, if
It's quite high.
if there's sufficient interest, we can
Okay.
we can upgrade. I don't see that
I
as a
don't-
barrier.
Yeah, I don't think we're at risk of hitting that cap with, you know,
No.
at the moment, unless there's significant.
I mean, what becomes a challenge is trying to manage and participate at the same time, but
Yeah.
that's,
Right.
you know, these are all things that you just figure out, and we're not afraid to do that. But the question is, you know, to what extent you want to also encourage in-person participation, because I do think, I have similarly heard that there's, you know, been something lost
Right.
in the last year of the
question.
human interaction, which lends itself to an alternating schedule as being somewhat attractive in that regard. So,
Right,
Yeah, my only concern there would be confusion. Is this a?
Sure.
right.
Yeah.
They'll never remember which
They'll
one's
never
in
remember which is
person.
which.
sure.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something we should bring up at town meeting as a question. At least you've got, you know, 60 people
That's a
there.
good idea.
So you know you get some response from them. Maybe then, rather than try to do this calling and, what do you think?
Yeah, yeah.
Chris Britton, we can put it in a,
Sure.
you know, non-binding
Right.
question somewhere. What do you think, Kathy?
Yeah,
Think town meeting, go ask them?
absolutely.
What style is the youth committee, the youth commission gonna settle on? Are they gonna stay in virtual mode?
Some want to do in person, some of, like myself, I really like the Zoom meeting, especially in the winter, because I don't have to leave the home.
Right. Well, that actually came up in a conversation I had, because they said, you know, a lot of people they don't want to drive in the middle of winter, and if it's a storm, they definitely don't want to drive. So I think that's one thing that's come out of all this, actually, is that even if we don't do it now, that it's something we could entertain for winter, say, you know what? As long as we let people know early in the day that we're not going to be here, or, you know, it's in Zoom, then we can try it. So. All right, so we won't do anything about a survey now. We'll have a question.
We'll have
Tom.
I think people are free to call in and let us know their thoughts if they,
Oh, yeah,
if they
if
wish
they
to.
hear this
Yeah.
and wish to, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then I'd just like to say on behalf of the board, give our respect to Scott Rockefeller's family for his passing, and he was a volunteer on our ambulance and a trainer in our ambulance department, and I'm sure he's going to be most missed. And I guess the very last thing I have to say is, again, on behalf of the board, we pay our respects to Chief Russa's family, and And what's going to happen tomorrow is going to be a wonderful tribute to him. I'm sorry, is there anything else?
No, I mean, I had the pleasure of knowing Jeff and coached a couple of his kids, and he's one of the greatest guys I knew. And he was above all just a fair.
Yeah. He turned out to be probably one of the best police chiefs we've ever had in this town. And just a tragedy. Okay. Any other public comments? Okay, Bob, anyway. So our next regular meeting will be June 15th. I assume it's going to be in person, right here. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.